Bundy escaped in Aspen.
Hey, live studio audience for Fox and Friends, which starts right now. Bye-bye.
The president back in Washington amid bipartisan praise over the last 24 hours.
President Trump did the right thing by walking away.
Border agents arrest 180 illegal immigrants crossing into New Mexico.
We're going to be building over 200 miles of wall. They said, could you call it slats or barriers? And we played the game for a little while, and then you just say, hey, look, you can't have border security without a wall.
The State Department putting a $1 million bounty on Osama bin Laden's son, Hamza bin Laden, wanted for threatening to attack America.
Larry Kudlow addressing CPAC.
Put socialism on trial and then convict it.
Benjamin Netanyahu will be indicted on 3 separate charges. In the last few hours, Netanyahu responded to the indictments, calling the whole investigation a, quote, witch hunt.
And I need for this Democrat Congress to understand that we don't need to rewrite the Constitution. They need to reread the Constitution. I need them to understand that.
For being with us today.
I like the semicircle. I really think this is fantastic.
Bigger group this time. Last time we just had this little area, and now we have
I
studio.
know it.
Hey, everyone.
It's fantastic. Hey, you picked a great day to come to New York City because we've got a gigantic program. Fan favorites, Diamond and Silk, are going to be with us. All right, folks, we have more.
Also, no, we need more? Is that it? I think that's enough.
We have Pete Hegseth, we have Kurt Knudsen, we have Congressman Sean Duffy and his wife, Rachel Campos Duffy. Who else do we have, Ryan?
Kirk Cameron's going to be here live. Tom Homan. He tends to say like it is. One of the funniest comedians in the country. If you have not seen him live, I know you've seen him on the show. You got to check him out. Michael Loftus. Rachel Cruz will be here answering a lot of your questions. Big show. That's right.
So you picked a great day, and of course it's a news channel, so let's start with the news. How many of you here today were happy that the president walked out of the summit with Kim?
Did you hear? Nancy Pelosi even complimented him for that. So he's getting bipartisan support for this deal, for walking away from the deal at least.
Indeed. So right when he was done, he went over and talked to Sean Hannity. It's the first time they had met. I'm only kidding. And he said, here's what happened. Here's behind the scenes. Let's listen.
It's a much tougher deal to make. Maybe it won't get made, but that's the deal that we should have. And you can't give up everything if you don't get that. Now, we could have done large portions, but you're not getting that. So we'll see what happens. Again, the relationship is very good. He likes me. I like him. Some people say, oh, you shouldn't like him. I said, why shouldn't I like him? I like him. Get along great. We'll see what happens.
Well, the other thing they added is North Korea came out and actually had a press conference. They said, no, I don't know what America's talking about. We just asked to have sanction relief that impeded the civilian economy and the livelihood of our people.
Right.
The president did not come back like he would, let's say, when he was going against Hillary Clinton, because he knows this is international diplomacy. But that's basically not what happened.
Well, and you think about it, with Ed Henry's reporting yesterday, he said, Kim did something that he'd never done before, and that was taking questions from a reporter the night before. So why suddenly is he taking questions from reporters, which he's never done, and then he sends the foreign minister out to make a statement? Yeah, I don't know what the United States is talking about. Because they were shocked that Trump actually got up and walked out. Now, going in, apparently the president was told by advisors He told advisors he did not want to appear too eager to give away the store because then analysts would say, look what he got. And we had a signing ceremony. So instead, the president said, this is not the deal that I'm angling for, so I'm out of here.
Well, President said I want to denuke everything, and I'm not going to just lift 4 sanctions. That's what they're saying in state news in North Korea. That they didn't say that they wanted all sanctions lifted. They just wanted 4 sanctions lifted. That's not enough. The president said we'll lift them all possibly if you denuke your entire country.
Right. Just to add, I just got texted from somebody who was actually there who said no agreement.
Mike Pompeo again.
They wanted what they got from prior administration's economic relief, which was what brought them to the table. But without complete denuclearization, there would be no deal. And they were surprised that we held to that.
Yeah. And Kim was shocked that the United States stood up and walked out. Meanwhile, what is going on behind closed doors in Washington, D.C.? There was a bill to expand federal background checks for gun purchases, and 26 Democrats actually joined Republicans amending the legislation so that ICE would be notified in the event that an illegal alien tried to buy a handgun.
Which, by the way,
like
is logical.
Idea, right?
Yeah, it sounds like a great thing to add that Republicans brought up.
Those 26 Democrats vote for that.
No kidding. Right. Well, Nancy Pelosi, as it turns out, though, was furious, and she lashed out at the 24 moderates who voted with the Republicans, and she pressured them, you got to get on board. She said, we are either a team or we are not. We have to make that decision. So we've all got to vote exactly the same. Don't forget about that bipartisan thing. Vote if you're a Democrat.
Then AOC upped the ante. One of her spokespersons said she went into the room and she looked at all these moderates and said, you are going to be on a list. If you continue to vote with these Republicans, you continue to be moderate, and you're not extreme like all of us, then we will put you on a list and we'll make sure activists get you out of office and upseat you in 2020.
Can you believe the arrogance of a freshman there for weeks, not years, to call out others who have been there forever, who might be, for example, elected in Trump-won districts? They can't afford, or get this, they might not want to vote against this because they actually believe in it. So the Washington Post has this quote from people from their reporting. They say House Democrats exploded in recriminations Thursday over moderates bucking the party. Can we believe that? Moderates? With liberal Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez threatening to put those voting with Republicans, get this, on a list for a primary challenge. She bragged that she has a text message link to activists that will immediately primary them. My goodness, good luck. A moderate won in a Trump-won district, and you want to put a liberal there? You know who should be high-fiving? Kevin McCarthy, because that means a Republican will walk right through with that seat.
This is pretty scary. It's bullying. It's saying if you don't vote with us, then we're going to get you out of office. We're going to make sure every single Democrat thinks the way that we do.
Well, and the Democrats have had some embarrassments in the last week or two because there have been some procedural votes that they've actually lost on, which is extraordinary because they hold a majority. Now, in the past, the Republicans have done very well with that. So Nancy Pelosi and AOC are very, they are very in sync with the message. We have to be on the same team. Mike DeBonis, who is the Washington Post writer who did this particular bit of reportage, said inside Thursday's tense House meeting of the Democrats, an exasperated Pelosi demanded moderates stiffen their spines, AOC threatening to put them on a list, and moderates begging for forbearance. Republican floor mischief paying off in spades, he writes.
Yeah, keep this in mind, too. They also brought Medicare for all front and center. And there are some Democrats who are sober enough to understand that how dumb that would be, because not only would that be not accessible, unless you love the way motor vehicle runs or the way the VA has been producing.
Getting better.
Yeah, fantastic. The problem is private insurance. Over 70% of the American public have private insurance and like it. This would destroy it. So some Democrats just said, I'm not really for this, and they got blasted. So let's see what's going to happen.
I wonder how a Joe Manchin feels about this and how his constituents feel about this, because you can't force. You have to vote according to what your constituents feel.
Right.
You
Otherwise, you're walking
them.
the plank.
You can't have a Joe Manchin who represents, a moderate area. You can't have him voting with what they're voting for in California. It's totally different.
Well, what's going to happen is a lot of this stuff is going to die in the House. It's never going to get to the Senate. And sadly, you remember Republicans were very frustrated. They put all this stuff together, and the Senate wouldn't even vote on it. Now it's rolling. role reversal.
All right. Anyway, a lot going on in the news. Thank you very much for joining us. Meanwhile, Jillian joins us right now. She's right over there, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Good Friday morning. And we begin with a Fox News alert. The State Department putting a $1 million bounty on Osama bin Laden's son. Hamza bin Laden is emerging as the new leader of al-Qaeda. He has threatened attacks against the U.S. and our allies for the death of his father at the hands of U.S. Navy SEALs. I love you. That will be $5. Those were the bizarre final words from a death row inmate executed in Texas overnight. Billy Cobble put to death by lethal injection 30 years after shooting and killing his estranged wife's parents and her brother, a police officer. His children became violent watching the execution, kicking, throwing fists, and yelling obscenities. The governor of Washington state has his eyes on Washington, D.C. Democrat Jay Inslee is expected to announce his 2020 presidential bid today. His top issue, climate change, which he calls the real national emergency. Inslee would be the 10th Democrat to run for the 2020 nomination. Okay, the Bryce was right for Philadelphia. The Phillies, the Phillies signing Bryce Harper to the biggest contract in MLB history. The star outfielder is getting a whopping 13-year, $330 million deal. 13 years.
9 years old.
I know. Harper spent the last 7 seasons with the Washington Nationals. He is a 6-time All-Star and won NL MVP
it's Friday, March 1st,
in 2015. Actually, Brian, we were talking about this yesterday. People in Philadelphia did not expect this. They were giving up on it.
It's amazing. He's going to have to live on
Anyone with me? How many times does he have to go to the World Series to pay that back?
Every time.
Every
All right.
time.
We got a big crowd here. Let's meet some of the folks, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, I'm Steve, along with Ainsley and Brian. Welcome to the program. What's your name, sir?
Nathan.
Nathan, where are you from?
I'm from here in Manhattan.
Oh, did anybody travel more than 1 block? What's your name?
Juanita Outlaw.
Juanita, where do you live?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
All right. So what do you think about this news about Bryce Harper?
I'm a Saints fan.
Okay. All right. What's your name?
Don't
sir?
bring up
Bruce.
the playoffs.
Hey, Bruce, how are you? How long you been watching Fox and Friends?
Gosh, for as long as it's been on, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Okay, now, at what point in the day do you actually turn on the television, and what time do you turn it off?
Oh, well, we mostly DVR stuff, so sorry. We turn it on whenever, usually late at night when we get home. And
So you actually watch our program during Tucker Carlson. Just so crazy. And one other person, real quickly, is there a Christy Cleha here?
Yes.
Oh, hello, Chrissy. How are you?
Hi. Good.
Now, I understand you told one of our producers a secret.
Yes.
Once upon a time,
Once
back when
upon a
I
time.
was in my 20s or 30s.
Yes, you
I
used to be on NBC4 in D.C.
That's right.
And I used to watch you then, and I still watch now.
Look at that. You follow
Yeah.
me. Well, it is great to meet you.
Yes, you
and
too.
after
Thank you.
like 30 years. Thank you very much. Anyway, so we got a great crowd. Did anybody travel more than 500 miles? Oh, my goodness. About
Wow,
10
a lot of people.
Where?
Almost everybody.
That's great.
Louisiana.
That's good.
San Antonio.
All right.
All right.
A great crowd. All right.
Indiana. Nice.
Buckle your seatbelts, folks, because we've got a bumpy show.
Yes, Larry Kudlow sending this rally cry to the crowd at CPAC.
Join us to put socialism on trial and then convict it.
What does our audience think about that? Stick around.
We use Angie's List because we can always find great local pros.
For any type of home project.
I use Angie's List because it's free.
Free to read reviews.
Check their ratings.
They can even match my project to qualified pros.
Go to angieslist.com today.
These very attractive, nice people all across the country representing the Fox and Friends audience. You guys were kind enough to come in for us, petition, email us. We followed up, and now you're here. You've been patted down. You passed the background check. Thank you very much. Yesterday, Larry Kudlow went to CPAC. You guys familiar with CPAC, that conservative conference? So Larry Kudlow went to CPAC, and now he's joined the administration. In the past, he's been representing CNBC. Great speaker, great broadcaster, and he came out and said, hey, guys, I got a theme. And it's called socialism. Not good. Listen.
You know, President Trump is providing leadership. He's kind of changed the whole psychology. I mean, we've gone from pessimism to optimism. Right there is a major change. He has ended the war on business. He has ended the war on energy. He has ended the war on success. So I'm here with just one simple ask. Please, join us to keep America great. And join us to put socialism on trial and then convict it.
And it's pretty amazing, too, because so many of the candidates so far on the left are saying, yeah, socialism. Beto O'Rourke yesterday went out of his way to say, no, I'm a capitalist. I like to see that. I also like to see him once in a while roll down his sleeves and put on a tie. But that's just see what happens. Hey, I want to find out what you guys think of socialism. And I think Christian's over here, right? Christian, you're from... Stefan, you're Christian's over there. Stefan, you are from?
I grew up from in Poland.
You grew up in
the
Poland.
Communism, basically early years 70s.
So when did you come here?
In 78.
So what did you leave?
What did I leave over there? It's just, we left over there, the communism over there, no freedom, nothing.
But yet everything was guaranteed, wasn't it? Didn't you have health care?
No, there was only guaranteed for there's two types of people. There's people in power, rich, and there's people with no money, poor people. There is no middle up there. Basically, we're the lower class, you could actually
Does
say.
it concern you that we're talking socialism in this country?
Definitely. It's the same thing. It's just it's communism, but in a different form type of a deal.
It's overwhelming. 18 to 24-year-olds, over 50% want socialism. Christian, where are you from?
New York City.
From New York City. Yeah. And what's your view on the socialistic leanings of the next generation?
I mean, it just doesn't really make any sense when you look at places like Venezuela, that used to be sort of like the gem of South America, and now you look at it without getting into too much graphic detail. I mean, why would anyone willingly want that?
Well, it's guarantees, right? It's guarantees. You got to go compete, and that's what capitalism represents. All right, so listen, coming up next, we're going to talk to the audience throughout the 2.5-hour show because they're all wonderful people, and we gave them free coffee, so they must be alert. Speaking of CPAC, Diamond and Silk are going to be here. They're going to come here next. They're walking through the door. And we're going to have much more coming your way. Even Governor Christie's going to be here live. Great show. Don't move.
Relax.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends Live with our live studio audience. Here's our next topic. Left-wing commentator Van Jones shocked audiences at CPAC by praising the conservative movement for leading the charge on just-passed criminal justice reform.
And what you're seeing now are Republican governors being tough on the dollars, tough on crime, and shrinking prison populations, and showing the rest of the country that it can be done. This is supposed to be my issue. You are stealing my issue.
Joining us now to react, social media stars, Trump supporters, and Fox Nation hosts Diamond and Silk. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
You were there at CPAC yesterday.
Yes.
I understand the audience just went wild when y'all came out.
Yes, it was phenomenal. I mean, a beautiful experience.
Amazing.
Just being there with like-minded people talking about our freedoms and us being very patriotic. We loved it.
What do you think about Van Jones praising Republicans?
Well, you have to understand that Van Jones has been a long advocate for criminal justice reform.
That's right.
So to see him give honor where honor is due, praising this administration for trying to solve this problem. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but you know what? He's apparently taking a lot of flack from people in his own party for siding with conservatives.
But see, you have to understand. So I'm sorry, Silk. You
That's
have to
okay, go
understand that
ahead.
sometimes you have some on the left. They don't want a problem solved. See, because they make money by creating this foolishness where we're always bickering about something. But our president solved this here, and I commend Van Jones.
Well, put it this way, yeah, the president reached out to him, and he responded, and he was every step of the way he was praising the president. He said at the last minute, I thought everything was going to fall apart. Instead, they doubled down. Jared Kushner deserves a lot of credit. He went on to praise the president, too, on opportunity zones, as well as opioid reform.
Absolutely.
And that just shows you that he's authentic. This is what the issues matter more than the party, and that's got to be the new theme.
It has to
And
be
you
the
have
new
to
theme.
remember that President Obama did absolutely nothing, in my opinion, for the community, for prison reforms. He had the opportunity to do that. But things that was plaguing, especially the black community, Obama did not do anything. But our president, President Donald J. Trump, who's for all Americans, stepped in and got the problem solved.
Well, it seems like there's some confusion on the political left. You've got Van Jones taking heat for praising conservatives. Then you got Nancy Pelosi and AOC. They're saying, hey, there are too many people who are voting in our party, voting with the Republicans. We got to all be on the same team. So when people think, okay, every election, it's like, vote for me, I will go to Washington and work with the other side and get stuff done. But when they're actually there, it's kind of like, nope.
They don't do anything. And see, what I've been telling people is I want you to switch your party to Republican so that you can vote for President Donald J. Trump. Listen, now I know it shouldn't be about the party, but right now we have a Republican in office that's working for all Americans.
So I want to bring you to this story. Congressman Tlaib famously went after Mark Meadows for bringing out Lynn Patton, who was a longtime employee of the Trump organization, who is now with HUD. And she's African-American. He says, oh, yeah, Michael Cohen called the president a racist. Really, would Donald Trump be a racist if he had hired Lynn Patton for 25 years? And then Congressman Tlaib went after Mark Meadows for saying using a token black person to say your story. Well, they made up. They hugged it out. They talked for a minute. Mark Meadows approached and said, I'm glad we worked this out. It's over. She hops on MSNBC and doubles down. Listen.
I mean, I really do stand by it very much. I wanted to be heard. I wanted to be seen. And for me, at that moment, watching this young woman stand up behind Congressman Meadows in that way was very hurtful, and it was very disrespectful.
It's very sickening to see somebody like her. Now, this is what I call the radicals that's in Congress. This is why I tell you we don't need to rewrite the Constitution. They need to reread it. So where is it? No, where is it in the Constitution? For you to defer somebody and claim that they are a token, and that's a racial innuendo undertone is what you were saying. You know what you were doing, and I think she should step down.
But with her being a
race baiter.
Your perspective, your background, you're a threat, and they know it, and so they're going to come after you. So stand up. I appreciate it.
And if Donald Trump's going to get 4 more years, it's going to be through the Hispanic vote.
All right, Pete, thank you very much. We know a lot more of you have questions, and we're going to try to get to them all morning long. In the meantime, as you can see here in the center, we've got Jillian with some headlines.
That's right. Good morning. And let's start with this story. An Oregon lawmaker introducing a bill to disarm campus police. It would keep officers from carrying guns at the University of Oregon and Portland State University. Students have mixed reactions.
I think we need policemen that are armed.
They should be trained in de-escalation techniques that aren't putting the lives of students at risk.
The lawmaker pushing the bill says it will make students safer following a deadly incident involving a campus officer. There's a new push to stop faith from constantly being under fire. Missouri State Representative Hardy Billington introducing a ban on anonymous church and state lawsuits. He says they allow for attacks on faith without accountability. Critics say anonymity, I can never say that word, is essential for the safety of plaintiffs, including those whose religious liberty is attacked. Some words are just hard, you know? Okay, here's a question. Have you ever fallen asleep on the couch after a long week of work?
Sweetheart, you fell asleep on the couch again. You know you're supposed to go to your room.
Those annoying friends aren't his only problem if he sleeps in. Guys, how about this? According to a new study, trying to catch up on sleep on the weekend could make you fat. University of Colorado researchers say people who don't get enough sleep tend to overeat. So when they sleep more and eat less, they can't regulate their blood sugar properly. So my blood sugar must be like bonkers. That's the story of my life, Ainsley.
All right.
I always heard you can't make it up, right? Can you make up?
No.
I try.
Science. All right. Thanks, Jillian.
All right, it sounds terrifying. An online suicide game targeting our children. Y'all have heard about this, right? What you need to know about is it called the Momo Challenge? Kurt, the cyber guy, is going to tell us more about it.
Hey, Kurt. Welcome back, everybody. Police are warning parents on social media about a dangerous internet trend called the Momo Challenge, allegedly resurfacing in children's videos.
The Momo Challenge involves this image being spliced into videos instructing our children to commit violent acts.
Pushing back with their own version of the story.
And no sympathy for Michael Cohen. Lawmakers now accusing the president's former attorney of lying to Congress yet again.
The new investigation the DOJ may be looking to launch, and when Cohen could be called back to testify.
Plus, Joe Biden compliments Mike Pence, and many on the left immediately pounce.
What the former vice president said that has Democrats all worked up this morning. Fox and Friends First continues right now. I'm not gonna lie, I got no idea what this song is. Do you?
I never know.
It's Andy Grammer? No. I can't read it from here.
Hey, it's March 1st.
It is March. We made it. Good morning. How you doing? You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Friday. I'm Jillian Mealy.
You get through February.
I know.
It's a moment.
I know. It is.
Just take it in.
It's a moment, and we're having it right now.
That's right.
Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah. I'm Rob Schmidt. This is Jillian. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. President Trump waking up at the White House today after inking no deal with North Korea. He's getting bipartisan praise for walking away from Kim Jong-un's demands.
That's right. Aisha Husney joins us live as the rogue regime tells its own version of the summit. Good morning.
Good morning to you guys. You know, as the president was heading home, the North Korean delegation staying put and telling its own story about what happened. You'll remember the president blamed the breakdown on sanctions. He said Chairman
That's enough. All right. Meanwhile, 12 minutes out before the top of the hour, Democrats taking another hard left. Their latest plan, try and outlaw private insurance. Think that's a good idea? Congressman Sean Duffy married his wife Rachel, and together they're walking out.
hesitations, no more hesitations. Come on, Clinton, you can do it.
Throughout the years, you've kept your best friend moving.
Come on, Quinn.